just before I start this episode, I've got a new Instagram account which has like 11 followers, and I'm feeling really, really embarrassed about it. So if you go and follow that, it's at Music Club FM. I'm going to be posting frequent updates on there, all about music. It's a place where I can go just full ham on putting music content out there. Updates, stories, carousels, the whole thing. Maybe even a bit of IGTV and going live. Who knows? But if you can go follow me, that's at Music Club FM. I'd really appreciate that. On with the show. Welcome back to another episode of Music Club FM. This is the 5th one. I can't believe we've got this far. I was going to do strictly just like new bands I've never heard of before this week, but you know what, some big stuff's happened. I've tried to keep it as new as possible, but we're going straight in to a new record from Sports Team. They put out a latest single. Let's just go straight onto this. I'll talk about it more on the other side. This is Going Soft by Sports Team. Now, they're such a cool band. Their album was supposed to come out last month. Unfortunately, it was delayed because of COVID-19. They're very much a band that sell themselves live. I think that's probably why they've delayed it. It's coming out next month, I think now. Is that right? I've got this information in front of me. Let's have a quick look. Coming out on the 19th of June, so we'll be talking about this towards the end of the month anyway. To be fair, if you're a fan of Sports Team, you can go and listen to literally Here It Comes Again, Going Soft, Camel Crew, Long Hot Summer, Here's the Thing, The Races, Fishing, Kutcher, all already. Like, they're already out there as records. There's only like 4 or 5 songs that are on this album that aren't released, so you can get a good feel for them as a band. That record is so good. I love them so much. The footage they've made for the music video, because obviously they can't go out and film it, it's just footage from lots of gigs with some really cool typography put over the top. Especially when animated down, must have taken them ages. So I've got a lot of respect for them. They're just my favourite band of the year. They really are so good. And that record is not stopping. They're just on fire. Welcome back to the show. This is probably the best new music show you're going to listen to over the next few days. We've got some amazing records that have been just lying around in my library, and I'm really excited to talk about them. I've done a little bit of research about all of them as well, so we're going in with a bit of knowledge. Before though, we've got another banger that came out last week, which I didn't realise. This is Aries by Gorillaz, featuring Georgia and Peter Hook of Joy Division. Like, we're not f***ing around here. This new Gorillaz project is well exciting. You know, this has such a post-punk influence. It sounds so much like a Joy Division record, especially with that, like, clangy guitar. It's brilliant. Damon Albarn, obviously, from Gorillaz and Blur, spearheading the Gorillaz project. This is, what, album 6 or something now? Don't know when this is coming out, but we've had some amazing records from them so far. That other record they've just released with Skepta as well is really cool. Obviously recently released that record with Slow Tie and Slaves. There's such an exciting time when Gorillaz are making new music. This is no different. This here is Aries featuring Peter Hook, obviously of Peter Hook and the Light, and Joy Division and New Order. And the incredible Georgia on synth work here. Brilliant record, check it out. And I thought we'd kind of keep it on a bit of a, I don't know how these two kind of go together, but in my mind they do. Art pop, I guess. I guess you would classify Gorillaz as art pop. This record is the newest single by Cheap Cuts, 2 producers, John and Jack, collaborating this time with Pete Wentz, making some form of bizarre, mid-noughties inspired, like, spoken word art pop. It's a really cool record. It's all about our obsession with social media. The beat's really fun.
You have proved that you fight well. Now you can join us.
Wake up, check your phone.
Has this really cool kind of like Elvis, Ocean's 11 style jazz beat to it, and Pete Wentz lends his vocal as just this kind of bizarre thing where you're obsessed with your phone. Check this one out. This is Check Your Phone, featuring Pete Wentz by Cheap Cuts.
24/7, loneliness, live stream, no regrets.
Check your phone.
Right, let's move into some completely new stuff now. Stuff that I have not come across before. Today we're starting off with a new artist called Bickle, formerly known as Travis Bickle. The previous moniker was taking inspiration from the 1976 film Taxi Driver. That was Robert De Niro's character. He is from Atlanta. I don't even know genre-wise what you would describe this as, like electronic indie pop. It kind of reminds me a little bit of something you would have heard in kind of 2004 to 2007 new rave, Hadouken-y, CSS, Klaxons, that kind of era. It would have fit in really, really well there. But I love it so much. It's just such a really cool beat. But as a vocalist, he's kind of screaming as well. I don't know, it's just really cool. It sounds like he's having a lot of fun making this. I was reading an interview he did with Vice, or Pigeons and Planes, and he just seems like someone who doesn't take it too seriously. The music video, by the way, is a lot of him and his pubic hair. So if you want to go check this one out, it's a really, really cool record. One that's absolutely being smashed on my summer playlist. I absolutely love this record. This is Naked by Bickle. The next record that I want to talk about is by an artist called Diveliner, who is, I don't even know how you describe Diveliner, like an emo rapper. You know, it would be really easy to draw comparisons between him and people like Lil Peep and Bexy and like Ghostmane and those guys. But I actually think he has, especially with this record, I haven't listened to the full album that he's put out, or project, or what you want to call it. It's a 9-track like EP that he's put out recently, which this record is taken from. This record in particular is like just a full rock song. It's like a punk record. It's got those kind of punk chants. It's kind of emo inspired, but it's not screamy. It's just got that kind of, I don't like the term whiny, but that's the kind of best way I can use to describe it. There's some records where he has like more hip hop influence and more trap influence and he raps more. This record though is like a bit more of a ballad, and it's really, really cool. As an artist, he's been putting out singles since 2018. He's completely independent, was previously signed to a record label, left them and is happy to do so, is now putting out music by himself. This project that he's put out, he's completely produced, played the records, sung, rapped, mastered, everything. Obviously this record features some female vocalists on it as well, so I don't think he's done those bits. As mentioned earlier, this is taken from his recent project, the I Can't Sleep EP, mixtape, album, I don't know what you would call that. It's like 9 tracks, it's that awkward kind of size. This is the incredible Gaslight by Diveliner. Next we're going to be looking at a really cool new artist called Goth Babe. Goth Babe, what a great name. You can follow Goth Babe on Instagram. He is living an incredible life at the moment. Like, I'm just going to read the story that's on his website because it's so cool. Like, it's so cool. Goth Babe is Griff Washburn enjoying himself. Originally from Tennessee, Griff currently lives off the grid in his 1996 Ford F-250 with his pup Sadie, adorable, surfing up and down the coast of California and Oregon. He writes and records his music in the back of his camper off of solar power, while in the midst of following good weather and good people. I wonder how that's working in coronavirus. I wonder how that's working. After writing songs in his dorm room at aged 18, Griff right off the bat knew he wanted to make this goofy band name more than a side hustle. After touring in 2016 and living in New York City for part of 2017, Griff packed up his things and made way for the West Coast. He's recently picked up on the brighter parts of life, parting ways with social status and relevance. He's discovered how wonderful living day by day is. Making music to Griff is less of a climb to the top, and it's a form of free thinking and enjoyment. He's like, it's a bit of a wanky press release, but when you listen to this record and you then read that status and you think about where he's at and the life he must be living, it paints such a wonderful, wonderful image. This music has a kind of Dan Kroll feel to me, mixed with a bit of a Neon Indian M83 kind of production to it. I think it's such a great, great record, one that I've listened to a lot. This is the incredible End Summer by Goth Babe.
So you think you already
Right, next we're going to go into a bit of an interview. The first time I've ever done this, but we're moving into an interview that I did with a band called Sallow. They're from Liverpool. I got up with Paul from the band. He's an old uni friend of mine, so we talked all things kind of lockdown, making music, his recent EP, their recent EP. We talked about any kind of like remixes, the state of the punk industry, all sorts. We're going to play a few records from them. This one that we're playing now is called The Architect. It's a fucking monster of a record, an absolute monster. I think if you're like a fan of Idols or a fan of Shame or a fan of any of the punk that we play on this show, this is a band you're going to want to check out. So we'll start off with The Architect, and yeah, we'll go straight into an interview. Yo, Yo.
Hello, mate. You alright? Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, man. I'm just adjusting this. There we go.
There we go. There's the magic angle.
Yeah, man.
How's things?
Got to be landscaping it. We're Weetabix here. So, landscape one. Yeah, man, really good. Actually, just like, really fine at the minute, despite all the madness.
Yeah.
So how are you?
Yeah, good. Similar kind of thing, really. Well, for I guess it's lack of madness. That's the kind of part of it that's crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. It feels like the pressure's off, if anything, a little bit. I mean, as this goes on, it's going to get a bit scary as we don't gig. But for now, we're doing all right.
Well, I guess that's the key part, right? And I guess it's time to kind of sit and think about doing new bits and reflecting and staying creative and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Getting on with the other bits, the bits that we weren't having the chance to do before, and personally not having the chance to do as well.
So you released your EP Wincemeat, which is a great name, by the way, in October. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. We released it on Halloween. Super spooky.
Yeah,
it was the idea, and we did a release show with the local event Madheads, Keep It Cryptic, who are like doing really interesting things in the scene in Liverpool for events, blending like sort of like dance and electro music events with band and psychedelic at the same venue, sort of thing. So
that's cool.
It was really fun to take part in that and do the release as part of that.
Yeah, that seems like something that probably would have been. I was talking the other day about how there was a time, I guess probably around when we first met, right, when artists and new bands would have released a single or an EP, and that record would get remixed by every DJ that was out there, right? And there was like a blend of that kind of world. So, and that's gone away a little bit. Like, it seems like there aren't any of that stuff kicking around, and there was a time when really cool DJs are working with really cool bands and artists and producing stuff, and so that's cool. I'd like to see that's coming back a little bit. Yeah,
I'd like to see a return to that as well, to be honest. And like, as much as, in terms of genre, people wouldn't put us in the remix category. I know that Shay Wilson, who is a producer and DJ, he's working on a remix of our song "The Architect." Yeah. And when he first asked me to send him over the stems of the audio files and everything, I was like, this song's 240 BPM punk tempo. Sort of. Like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but he sent me a sample the other day, and I was like, "You're just mad. I don't know how you turn it into something so like clubby and psychedelic." But yeah, he's a little genius. So that's upcoming at some point in this lockdown.
Yeah.
Now that it was going to be this month, but now, we've got time to wait and time to sit on it. So we're taking our time with that.
That's cool. Well, that record is a monster of a record straight out of the bastard on that EP.
Yeah.
It came on randomly, but like, I think you sent me the link. And it was in my library, and I just had like a smart playlist going on. It came, what the fuck is this? And I just absolutely loved it, man. It's so good. There's some really exciting. I guess punk kind of made a bit of a comeback 4 or 5 years ago, but it seems like it's really developing into like different individual little sub-scenes and stuff. So
resurgence of certainly the punk attitude in terms of when you see bands like Idols doing so well. And like even on the fringes of indie, you've got Shame and if you've ever seen them live, like that's a punk show. Yeah, like Shame is it's they really rock out and get involved with the crowd and everything. And now, I was thinking quite deeply about this the other day, as we have time to at the minute. I was thinking this return of punk is so much in so many ways an echo of the Thatcher era punk. Yeah. And we've got a similar thing going on with governments, and it's time. People are getting angry again. Yeah. And the best release for anger is to get it out in music and not be angry in person.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with you there.
I think that's one of the driving forces behind this. But yeah, it's a good time for it's happening not just in band music. I think as well, like certainly in electronic music, I've seen like people are heading towards harder techno, harder drum and bass. It's always
absolutely
harder at the minute.
Yeah, I think even in pop music, I think if you listen to like people like Billie Eilish, like there's even stuff like that. Which
it's darker, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There's a stronger darkness and like passion, anger to some of the things being said, and you know, the people are like more open to address issues in their music than they had been for a while. The 80s, the Thatcher era stuff. No, my girlfriend just standing in the doorway.
Hi, Paul's girlfriend.
Black says hi. She does all the artwork for our releases.
Oh, cool! It's so I love the theme that's going through it all. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's a bit. Like, I guess it describes your music pretty well. I've got it on the screen.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it here.
Scatty, wobbly, sort of like madness.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. Absolutely. So, in terms of lockdown, I take it you were playing quite a few shows and stuff pre-lockdown.
It was like, you know, we've been a band for just over 9 months now, so we're quite new. But we were looking forward to a really, a good summer of bookings that we'd worked hard with local and further away promoters to put together, and it's all fallen down. However, I almost felt like we were a bit ahead of ourselves in some ways on the shows. Anyway, we had a lot of songs. We've got the EP, and then we've got a whole album of songs that we're like midway through learning and recording, and a couple of singles to release as well. So, and none of that stuff was getting done. So it's not like we were doing all this and then playing the shows. It was show after show after show, and we were just constantly in the practice room, which is great. But when you've got all that, when there's so many shows to do, we were losing track of like the development of the music itself. So playing the same set list week in, week out, and now this gives us a chance to sort of reevaluate the tunes we have, and improve our musicianship. Of course, like we're all sitting around. Like even our drummer has the practice pads out every day. Right. So we live together, so I couldn't miss it.
That was good. I was just about to ask that. Yeah, you guys manage like to practice and rehearse, but I guess if you're living together, then it's just
Connor, our bassist, he lives on the other side of town, and we haven't seen him. But because of the way the music's written, the demo album is already on his hard drive, and he can play along to it there. So I know we're practicing our own way, but God, we just can't all wait to get back into the room together and play some actual music, because
I bet
that's the hardest thing about all this. I wanna make some like noise, get Larry with it, and it's all fun and games at home listening to the tracks and playing along acoustically, but it's not quite the same as getting out there and
it's not quite as loud and in your face.
On the last gig we did before we went on lockdown, someone stuck their hand right down my mouth at the gig when this was already when coronavirus was a thing. I think it's so symbolic, like, it was like being fed the virus. Like I was just out in the crowd and someone just grabbed my face and put their hand in my mouth. It was revolting. There's a video of it somewhere, but like, I just remember thinking after that, I was like, well, if nothing else is cancelled, we fucking will be, because that's disgusting.
Punk is very much alive in 2020, is what that says to me.
It is. I mean, I look like I'm enjoying it in the video, so maybe I can't complain. It was fully consenting at the time, so we're all good.
So what are you listening to at the moment, other than obviously your amazing EP? What else is kind of out there that you're enjoying, or?
I'm really into I've been over the last couple of months. Like I'll do a rundown because every day's a different day for what you're feeling music-wise. Yeah. But I've been into they're an older psych band called Psychedelic Aliens. They're from Nigeria. They're well worth listening, especially when the sun's out. Super funky and feel good psychedelic music. What else have we been listening to recently? Blaze Foley has been on repeat in this flat. If you're not onto Blaze Foley, he's like he's an old school sort of blues folk country singer. Writes about all kinds of interesting sort of lyrically quite punky in a way, quite anti-establishment, anti-politician, but like seeing that in like a country music, folky music format is really nice. And he's got an interesting story as well. He gave his life for a homeless man. He took a bullet for a homeless man, I believe, is the story of his death. And there's not much really about his life or anything.
I go back down to Texas, I go to somewhere I never been.
Anyway, I'm still giving you autobiography of random people.
That's all good, man. That's all good.
Yes, yeah. All sorts of music being played and researched. You know, it's one of those times where there's no excuse to not Google the answer to a question that comes into your head.
Absolutely.
So much time on our hands. It's like, you know, if I want to know something, I'm just going to sit there and research it for half an hour.
Yeah, I mean, so as part of what I do on the channel, I cover all the bands and stuff that played Reading last year, and I've done a lot for this year in Glastonbury already. And honestly, you just get lost in someone's world for like, you think you're there for like 20 minutes, and then you've listened to everything they've released, you've read every interview they've done, you've watched all the videos, and you're like a super fan. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You spend like
know all the lyrics and
and it's a wonderful thing to do, because usually you just listen to a song, or you know, someone will say, oh, this is really good, or you'll take a recommendation from like a radio DJ, but to actually just get really invested and not have to worry about anything else. It's just that's a perfect time for this at the moment, which is I guess why I'm doing this. We've got
to get through this, and like at the very minimum be, you know, everyone like in the music scene should be using this time to get the things done that we always should be doing at home, but tend not to as musicians with bar jobs who like sleep until, you know, God knows whatever.
The crack of dusk.
Jack has a really normal job, and then me and Connor, we're both bar workers, so we're just we're off at the minute completely, and they're saying no pubs or anything until Christmas, so it's like, you know, just like nothing going on.
A savage thought, isn't it? Well, let's hope this vaccine gets kicked off, and we can all get back to watching some music and drinking some dirty beer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much to Paul from Sallow Pillow there. That was such a fun little time to catch up with him. If this is something you want to see me do more, maybe just hit me a message or drop a comment or whatever it may be. But that was a fun time just to talk music and shoot the shit with someone else. That's really good. It's fun doing this, but having someone else to talk to is always good fun as well. But next I want to move into some news. Festival news is always something that's pretty rife here. I've started doing there's all sorts to go over this week. I've received insider knowledge. Haringey Council have cancelled all of their events during the summer. Haringey Council look after Finsbury Park, which is where Wireless is held. That would suggest that the 1975 gig that's put on by Festival Republic is also cancelled. Yeah, Saturday 11th of July. I don't think that's going ahead, guys. Sorry. It'll be rescheduled, I feel sure. But yeah, that one I don't think is going to be going ahead at this stage. Let's talk festivals for a second. So, included in some of the festivals that have been cancelled, Why Not Festival has taken its leave. They've put out a statement saying, following the continuing developments of COVID-19 pandemic, we've taken the difficult decision to cancel this year. With everything that's going on in the world right now, we know it's the right thing to do. Everyone keeps safe. I don't disrespect this part, but it's the same in every single statement, so I don't need to read every time. Nothing there about whether the lineup is going to be the same, but they have confirmed there that you can roll your ticket over if you're going to Why Not. Who is due to headline Why Not? Royal Blood, Richard Ashcroft, Craig David, Bombay Bicycle Club, and Rag and Bone Man. It's an alright lineup. Some good other names in there though. I like them. Sundara Karma, Amazons. I think it would be fun to do some Music Club FM festival specials. Let me know if that would work for you. Tell me if you think that's something that would be worth your while. Another festival that have put out a statement and cancelling, this one is run by Festival Republic. That's Latitude Festival. That is a much smaller brother or smaller sister to Reading and Leeds. Latitude will no longer be taking place this year. We've been closely monitoring the unprecedented situation that's become clear. That is just not possible for this year's festival to go ahead. Our hearts go out to the fans, artists, suppliers, performers, volunteers. We're closely working with our ticketing partners, and they will be in touch very soon to process your refund, or if you prefer to retain your ticket to carry across the next year. So, what it doesn't say here is anything about the lineup, but what it does say is that either people that have bought tickets will be getting refunds, or that they will be able to transfer to next year, just the same as other festivals. The big thing about this one is that it's a Festival Republic festival. So a lot of big festivals in the UK are run by Festival Republic, Reading and Leeds being the main one. But here we're very clearly saying that we can roll over to next year. We're going to put our all into planning the best latitude you've ever been to, and can't wait to see you in July 2021. For now, keep safe, stay healthy, and look after each other. So nothing there to confirm whether or not the lineup will carry over. I think this is a theme that we'll see across all of their festivals. What I would like to see from Reading and Leeds when it gets cancelled, if it gets cancelled, is will the lineup be the same next year? Are there some names that they can confirm now that will go across? Just something to latch onto would be great. And that's completely personal. It's something that I would really like. But I completely appreciate that's just me being needy. On a positive note though, let's move to Glastonbury, who put out a tweet this week saying, "We're pleased to announce we're going ahead with this year's Emerging Talent Competition." This is a competition they put out every year with a chance to win to perform at Glastonbury. The winners will be given a slot at Glastonbury 2021, plus a £5,000 talent development prize from PRS Foundation. We've got a long list of acts to go through. I'm going to go through that next week and see if there's something in there that I like, and perhaps we can share some of that next week. That could be fun. So it's not all doom and gloom. We've got some really cool virtual festivals coming up this month. We've got some really cool, there's some good stuff that's been postponed, some great albums coming out. Festivals are looking a bit pants. It's looking a bit pants. I'll go with you on that one. Shout outs to Rene who commented, "Here in the Netherlands, all festivals that were planned before the 1st of September are cancelled." So what the Netherlands are taking an approach that up until this date they're cancelled. Done. Who knows? Like, we just don't know what's going on at the moment in this country when it comes to festivals. The government aren't saying absolutely not. They're just letting people cancel them themselves, which seems like a bizarre thing to do. You would think they would just go, look, by X date, it ain't happening. So either reschedule or cancel, fine, whatever. But they're not doing that. And it's just a bit of a bizarre one. And I don't really understand that. Perhaps, and there's talk this week of easing up lockdown. Who knows? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Next, we're going to move into a bit of WTF Radio, the segment of the show where we look at different acts playing across some of the smaller stages across Reading and Leeds. This week, we're starting off with Ashnikko, who is from Oak Ridge, North Carolina. She is a hip-hop / electro-pop artist. Ashton Nicole Casey. She's like a bizarre blur of people like Billie Eilish and Ghostmane. I know. Who knows how that happened. She released her first record, Crocodile, in 2016, followed up in 2017, 18 and 19 with EPs Sass Pancakes, Unlikable and Hi It's Me, retrospectively, and embarked on a North American tour supporting rapper Danny Brown in October 2019. We covered Danny Brown at length at the start of this podcast. Brilliant. She's cool. The record that we're starting today is her most popular record, which is the record Stupid, features young Baby Tate. She's certainly an artist. She's set to play the pit. It's very different. It's not very pit-esque in my opinion, but that's just me. This is Ashnikko and Stupid.
Stupid boy think that I need him. I go cold like changing seasons.
Next, we're looking at an artist called 070 Shake, better known to her parents as Danielle Balbunia, is from North Bergen, New Jersey. She's an alternative hip-hop ambient pop artist. Most famously gained attention as part of Kanye West's Wyoming project in 2018, featuring on the record's Ghost Town and Violent Crimes on Kanye's Yay. She featured on Santeria on Pusha T's Daytona, and Not For Radio and Everything on Naz's Nazir. To release her debut solo project this year in January, entitled Modus Vivendi. She reminds me like a blend of people like Imogen Heap and The Weeknd. There's that kind of dark R&B feel that The Weeknd brings, and then we have like this really synthy, ambient, electronic influence from people like Imogen Heap. That's that's my gut reaction anyway. I'm sure that's not who she sits down and listens to make music, but that's when I'm drawing comparisons, that's where I come to. Today we're starting off by playing a record taken from her debut album entitled Morrow. It's a bit more of an upbeat one for her. Check this one out, see what you think. She's currently set to play the Festival Republic stage on the Saturday at Reading, Sunday at Leeds. This is Morrow by 070 Shake.
Oh, did you not get the message. Said I'm done calling and texting.
Next, we're heading to the One Extra stage and looking at an artist called Trevor Daniel. Trevor Daniel, also known as Trevor Daniel, is from Houston, Texas, currently based in Los Angeles. He has a very LA kind of sound, in my opinion. He's like a pop singer-songwriter, hip-hop influenced, emo, sad boy kind of guy. Recently collaborated with Ian Dior, who we covered on a previous WTF segment. I mean, musically, he's not very me, and I don't think he's very One Extra or very Reading, so I don't really understand this booking, but I guess he must come as a package deal with Ian Dior. But hey, that's my opinion. Today we're playing the record Past Life, which is one of his most popular records, taken from his most recent album, EP? Don't know what you call this one. 10-tracker. That was released in the 26th of March. You can go and listen to the rest of the album if this is your flavour. This is Trevor Daniel and the record is Past Life.
Last night was the last night, and my past life got me here like you can never figure me out.
And last, but by certainly no means least, we're heading over to the dance stage to check out one of drum and bass's most raucous artists. We're looking at Delta Heavy. They are Ben Hall and Simon James, based out of London, genre-wise described as drum and bass, dubstep, drumstep and mumblecore. They're just like big Ram Records drum and bass in my eyes. They might have delved into some other genres, but if you like Andy C, if you like Subfocus, if you like Chase and Status, on a drum and bass tip, if you like people like Culture Shock, then Delta Heavy are for you. They released their first single, Get By, in 2012 on Ram Records, which was a dubstep record, a very cool dubstep record, I remember it coming out. They released their debut album in 2016, Paradise Lost, followed up with Only in Dreams last year in 2019. Today, we're looking at a record called Higher Ground, which features other artists Muzz and Cammy Robinson. I wonder if Muzz is Muzzy. Yeah, we covered Muzzy last year, so look at this go full circle. Muzzy, there's a WTF video for Muzzy that you can go and watch up here. And if you listen to this on audio, then there will be a version which you can go check out as well. Higher Ground featuring Cammy Robinson and Muzz, previously known as Muzzy. This is just a big, old electro dance floor drum and bass record. If this is your thing, then make sure you go and check out the dance stage at this year's Reading in Leeds, and maybe go and check out some previous WTF episodes. Andy C and Muzzy are two that you should definitely go watch if that's your thing. This year we've already covered Hybrid Minds, so go and check out that if this is a sound that you're interested in. But for now, this is Higher Ground by Delta Heavy. Right, let's just quickly go through some shout outs. Thank you so much to those that have been in touch. Honestly, every week I have this thing about this is a complete waste of time and it's really silly, but then I get loads of messages and comments and it really, really, really helps build up my ego. But it makes a big difference to me. So I just want to shout out to Callie and Elliot Roebuck, to Red Ruff Lima, Ninja Duck, Joe Day, Bellerin, James Wilson, Sam Sheeran, who all commented on last week's Music Club episode. Big shout out to, where are you, Mr. CD Williams, who sent me a message on Instagram and has been following me for a long time, who has just launched his own blog called, what's it called, Chris Williams? I believe it is called Working Through the List. Called Working Through the List, which is, tell you what, this man has a way with words, so shout outs to Chris Williams. Yeah, he's been a little bit inspired by Who the F*** and Music Club, but basically what he's doing is working through a massive list from Imager of just some absolutely epic albums that he's working through. I can see things like Aphex Twin and Screamadelica and The Strokes and Jeff Buckley and Gorillaz and The Prodigy and Justice and James Blake, and I mean there's all MF Doom and Burial and Kanye West, and there's some really cool artists on there. So shout outs to Chris Williams, who has been working hard on going and doing that. He certainly does a better album review than I, so go and give that a quick read. Next I want to move into some new music. So we're going to finish off this show. We've got 6 records and they're all fresh as fuck. Starting off with Yves Tumor, who is an artist I've never come across before. Also known as Sean Bowie, is from Miami, Florida, currently based in Turin in Italy. Experimental electronic is his genre description. Just released their 4th studio album, the 2nd since signing with Warp Records, which is really cool. This record cropped up in my new music playlist a couple of weeks ago. I'm also interested, pause from each tune for a second, how does everyone else find their music? How do you guys find new stuff? Because it can't just be this. I'm interested. But new music playlist is a good one for me to discover just stuff completely out of context, and this record, the beat spoke to me straight away. It's the opening track of their current album. I was watching Anthony Fantano from The Needle Drop. I was watching his review of the record. He talks about how it's an opening record with an MF Doom style production. You could easily hear MF Doom starting to flow over the top of this. But instead, you have this almost Prince rock, glam rock-esque song, which is just brilliant. The two are a big clash, but they work so well together. I really, really, really rate this record. This is Eve's Tumor and Gospel for a New Century. Next, we're going a bit weird. We're going to be talking about Jimothy Lacoste. I reached out to Jimothy's management, who very, very lovely sent me over a press release of this record. I've done a bit of research into him. I first came across him a couple of years ago and just thought, what the is this? He's a little bit like Oliver Tree. Just not sure if it's serious. And then Annie Mac played a record, and then he was working with Toddler T, and I didn't get it. But the music is so catchy. It reminds me of this guy I went to college with so much. Jack Saunders of BBC Radio 1, he's so refreshingly liberating to listen to. It's music that you can get weird to whilst taking a very important life lesson at exactly the same time, and that's a win for me. He says 2019 has been the biggest year of improvement. I've learned a lot from my mistakes, people and experiences, what I was doing, how I'm behaving, who I spent time with, the plans I had, the stuff I tell myself every night, the people around me. I'm always improving every day, and I have to, otherwise I get pissed off. He has a run of shows coming up in October. Manchester on the 16th, Hedgerow House in Leeds, I will probably be there on October the 17th, the Exchange in Bristol on the 19th. I've been to Exchange, so 1975 there. You may think I'm a bit weird for this one, because it's a record which is out there as odd, but musically it's so cool. And it seems like this is a guy that's a little precocious for his time, giving you life advice. But he's right most of the time. Everything he says is true. It's just lovely life advice from some kid making really cool music. And it's really simple, and it's not dark, and I like it. And it's a little humorous. But it's great. Anyway, this is Always Improving by Jimothy Lacoste.
Earpods on my ears, haven't stuck to beers. Britney Spears flex, no cocaine but care.
Next, we're heading over to an artist that I came across a few years ago, Konstantinos Anastaskis. He is from New York City, genre-wise described as alternative indie rock, new wave, post-punk revival. I mean, that is a mouthful of stuff. This record in particular is definitely for fans of Tame Impala. This is a more slower record for him. I first discovered Blonder with the incredible single In and Out in 2017, which was just a really cool indie disco record. It's just really cool. What does the press release read? Mixing elements of classic post-punk, brighter synth pop and 21st century indie rock, Blunder is a project of Long Island native Constant, set about teaching himself guitar in Ableton only after college, started churning out songs whilst recovering from a subsequent bicycle accident. This record is taken from his latest EP entitled Crystal Ball. It is just a really, really, really cool record. If you are, as I said, if you're a fan of Tame Impala and that kind of slower psychedelic sound, this one is for you. But go back and check out records like In and Out because they are really, really cool. This is Glue by Blonder. This next record is a monster. I first came across Marabou State a good few years ago. This goes back to my Blank Canvas days, so 2013. I was making mixtapes. So basically what happened was I had this nightclub promotion that I used to put on where we got a lot of artists to paint at one end of the room and I'd be DJing, and it was like a battle of the brushes. Really cool, really good fun. Because I was doing the music myself, I wanted to have a sound that was kind of that time. It was music that was DJable, but that you not necessarily would want to dance to. Just really good electronic music. It was just at the time where Disclosure was starting to blow up. That kind of time when there was deep house that wasn't techie. And I came across this group called Marabou State, and they had a track with a guy called Pedestrian that I was obsessed with. Hollow Grove was another one that they put out. They did other really, really cool stuff. I ended up working with people like Johnny McCleary, who I think is my mate's brother. Johnny McCleary, I think is my mate Steve's brother. Released their first album, Portraits, in 2015. Really, 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 really cool guys. Highly recommend going and checking them out if you like a more down-tempo electro sound. This record, though, is not relaxing at all. This is just straight up, and I want to move my feet. I heard this, I think, on Annie Mac the other night, and I was just absolutely obsessed with it. It samples a record, right? Casting back pre-Music Club, pre all of this. When I first started uni, ooh, we're talking 10 years ago now, that's sad. Nearly 10 years ago, I started this blog called Song for the Day, and all I did was just write about one song every single day. And I did it for like a good year. And it was good. The reason I did it is because I wanted to be able to read back. It was like a diary mixed with music. It's a bit too personal, actually. I probably shouldn't have put it on the internet. And I remember writing about records I just didn't want to forget. And the first one that I ever wrote about was the record By Your Side by Spy, who was an amazing drum and bass artist. He sampled Terminator Salvation soundtrack and made this incredibly epic cinematic drum and bass record. By Your Side by Spy. If you are into drum and bass at all, go and check that record out because it is a monster. But it also featured a vocal sample, which this record uses. And so all week I've had this kind of reminiscence about that wonderful record and writing about music in a way that has led to this. But also just obsessed with the kind of new twist that this record takes. Marabou State are an artist that have been around for a long time. This record has a vocal sample that reminds me of a record that is very important to my musical journalism. On top of that, it sounds like they're trying to give the Chemical Brothers a run for their money. This record is a fucking monster of a record. I absolutely love this. I love the drum breaks, I love the skippy beat with like the dumpy synth stabs. It's just an all-around belter of a record. Absolutely brilliant. This is Mother by Marabou State. If you couldn't tell by my description there, I like that song more than a little bit. It's literally absolutely brilliant. Next we're heading to check out a really cool band that, again, cropped up in my new music playlist a couple of weeks ago. Not a band that I've ever come across before. They're called Lanterns on the Lake. However, they have released multiple records. This is their 4th studio album. They released the record Spook the Herd in February, their 4th studio album. And today we're playing a record taken from that album. Hazel, Paul, Oliver, Bob and Angela are from Newcastle upon Tyne, with the 5 members that make up Lanterns on the Lake. They're described as indie rock. I think that's probably true. They've been together since 2007, which is a long time, releasing their debut album in 2011. Following their tour in 2016, they decided to take a bit of a break, but then came back just 5 years, and that's really cool. I love that. This record is one that has been on repeat for a few weeks for me. I really, really think this is a cool song. I think that it builds really well. I love the chorus, I love the vocal style, everything about it's really cool. This record is Baddies by Lanterns on the Lake. And we're going to finish off today's podcast, today's episode, today's playlist, playcast, whatever, with a tweet that I did not ever expect to see. Mr. Noel Gallagher tweeted the other day, "Hey there dudes and dollies, like the rest of the world I've had infinite time to kill lately, so I thought I'd finally look and find out what was actually on the hundreds of faceless unmarked CDs I've got lying around in boxes at home. As fate would have it, I stumbled across an old demo which I thought had been lost forever. As far as I'm aware, there's only one version of this tune out there, from an Oasis soundtrack in Hong Kong about 15 years ago. I'm not sure whether the soundcheck version predates the demo, as there's not a date on the CD. I know some of you love this tune, so I thought we'd put it out there for you to enjoy/argue over. It will be up on the internet from midnight, blah 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 blah. The song is called Don't Stop. I hope everyone is staying safe and trying to ride out lockdown with minimum fuss. You're welcome, by the way. Peace simple." Noel Gallagher releasing new Oasis music. Now, obviously it's old Oasis music, but it's new to me, and I kind of put it on thinking it's just going to be like an Oasis B-side. Oasis B-sides, by the way, sometimes tend to be better than their A-sides. My dad would argue very strongly that the best Oasis record is The Master Plan, which is originally a B-side, and it's a fucking belter of a record. But this, I turned it on, and I was instantly taken back to a time in my life. And I wasn't feeling sad that Oasis don't exist. I'm just feeling happy that I got to see them once, and that I was alive when they were releasing music. They're such an iconic band. They really are. Whether you think that Noel and Liam are dickheads, whether you think that what they're doing is just completely ridiculous or not, they're so iconic. And to have music by them and hear them playing together again just brought such a wonderful smile to my face. It sounds to me like wonderful, wonderful new music from Oasis. Better than Liam, better than Noel. It's all of them together, and one day I really hope that they sort this shit out and get back together. I really do. I don't think it will happen. I think we're past it now. If Glastonbury 50 can't bring them back together, then I don't know what will. Regardless, it's bloody brilliant having Oasis releasing new music. And so I want to end today's show with the incredible demo that is Don't Stop. Thank you so much to everyone that's tuned in. This was a fun episode to put together. Some really cool new records out there and some new artists that I've discovered in the process. This is all the point of doing this show. Please continue to feed my ego and send me messages and whatnot. And send us a tweet. Follow me on Instagram. There's a new Instagram account that you can follow, set up specifically for Music Club. It's at Music Club FM. If you could just go and give that a follow, I would really, really appreciate that. But for now, let's listen and finish this off with the incredible Don't Stop by Oasis.